That's your skid plate. That's your pivot pin. There's your platform right there. There's your release arm and safety latch. There's your sliding rail and locking pins. Okay, the suspension or the brakes are the same. Everything's the same. You can't see it, but he's not going to get you to crawl under there on your back and point at it. But if you can do the front real good, why couldn't you do this? Does that make sense to you? You're saying the same thing, aren't you? Then inner and outer axle seals. See the axle? That's your axle right there. There's your seals. Okay. Then if you look, when you do the suspension, the front and rear spring mount's the same. The center U-bolts are the same. The springs are the same, except, see this spring right here? See that big fat spring that sits on top? There's only 2 springs. The top spring is considered a torque spring. That's different, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Then we do have a shock absorber right there. I can see it. Then I can see the airbag right there too. That's what's different, isn't it? That's it. Okay, those are the parts you'll be covering. Tires and rims and lug nuts are kind of simple, ain't it? Then, you know, I crawled under there and I pointed. Well, you have a kingpin on the trailer and you have locking jaws on your 5th wheel. Well, that's what locks it in place. Same with, like, if you got a trailer, you ever pull a trailer behind your car? What do? You put it on the ball and lock it in. It's basically the same thing, just a different design. Okay? And obviously you want to make sure that them locking jaws are locked around that kingpin, because what could happen if they weren't?
Lose the trailer.
It wouldn't be fun, would it? Okay? Then lights, and remember I was telling you there's 2 reflectors back there? If you look, you can see them. See them right there? They're right above the lights. And then if you look, you got mud flap and reflective tape. Same, isn't it? Then the trailers are exactly the same. Here's your trailer rails, trailer frame, landing gear, no difference, is there? Obviously, you always want your landing gear up too, don't you? You store your handle away, because if the handle's flapping and you lose the handle, you're gonna have a bad day, aren't you? And then on this truck here, reflective tape. This light is your running light. This one is what? A turn signal and a 4-way flash. Okay. We move along. See your can
You know what they test in, that's why I'm trying to go over it again.
the same. The only thing that's different here is handle release arm and your torque arm. See the torque arm right there? So you have a torque spring on the tractor and a torque arm on the what? Yeah. Okay. Then the tires, the rims, the lug nuts, the brakes, suspension's all the same, except back here you have no shock, no airbag, no nothing. It's simple. It's simpler than the front, isn't it? Then as we move along, same thing. Mud flap, right? Running light. Nothing different back here, is there? You see what I mean? So if you learn your parts, you can put a wrap together for yourself, can't you? And remember, get yourself pointing at the parts, touching them every time you go to talk about them, because what's that going to do for you? Yeah, if you're pointing at it and you're touching it, you'll always know what you need to talk about. Well, you learn your names.
But who just pointed?
You have to tell them, that's my water pump, that's my alternator. But if you point at it, what's it going to tell you every time? Water pump, water pump, water pump, alternator, alternator, alternator. Get what I mean? But if you don't ever point, you do this, how you going to know where the parts are? See what I mean? So the brakes are all the same. You see everything on the front, don't you? Everything's the same all the way back, isn't it? Except on the rear axle of the tractor itself is that axle seal instead of a hub seal. That's the only difference, isn't it? But your linings, your drums are all the same. So if you really break this down in your mind, it's really not that tough, is it? And you guys see now I do everything in categories, don't I? If you do it in a category, you're not doing the whole thing at once. What are you doing? Each little category. Let's really break down the right side real easy. What are the things we talk about? Exhaust, water pump, alternator, okay, alternator wires, and the belt. 5 things is all I'm talking about. That's not that hard to remember, is it? Once you know the part, you'll talk about it, won't you? And it's no different on your car. Do you have an alternator on your car? I hope so. If you don't, you got something special. True? You got a water pump on your car, don't you?
Yeah, mine blew out yesterday.
True. If you don't, it ain't going very far.
It went all the way to Butler.
But you guys see what I mean. You have belts on your car, don't you? It's the same parts, just different designs. Everything's bigger on here, isn't it? Okay. You have a steering system on your car, but nowadays a lot of steering systems are what? Rack and pinion. But back in the older days, which some of you guys are quite younger than I am, everything was just like that on a pickup truck. Same thing, no different. Kind of see what I mean? You're not really changing things. You're not doing anything different. You're just learning a new vehicle. And what's a pre-trip inspection about? Yeah, because before you take a trip, you don't want your brake shoes hanging out, dangling there, do you? You don't want your air leaking. You don't want those things to happen, do you? Okay, so, you know, that's what you're doing. You're telling them that, yes, I know enough about this truck, I can walk around it and look at parts and say what's broke. Because if you don't know your part and you tell them my brakes are leaking, what's the mechanic going to do? My brakes are leaking. Well, what's wrong? Where's it leaking? You know, I don't know. It's just leaking. There's more than one component to them brakes, isn't there? And then what are they going to think about you on the other end of the phone?
Easy money.
Yeah, well, no, they're just going to think, man, this guy, man, what's he even driving a truck for if you don't know the difference? Because this is all about you keeping the world safe. This is about you saving lives when you're driving a truck. Because people don't pay attention to it. We all got to admit, raise your hand, how many times have you ran around that truck as fast as you could because you didn't want to be behind? Okay. How many times he's getting off that ramp and you won't move over for it? Okay. How many times is he can't move over, but you sit there and race him at that ramp instead of here, let him go or fucking get ahead of him and get over? How many times? We've all done it. Come on. But there's a reason for it, okay? And you'll learn that when you get out there. And I never get mad. I never get road rage. I'm like, really, you're going to kill yourself to get 5 seconds ahead of me. That's how I was going. Oh, well, just do what you want because I know I just saved your life. Because if I get aggressive, what can happen? Yeah. And we all live around this area. What happens on that toll road every year? Trucks getting banged. And most of the time, it's cars' fault. Yeah, you got a few truck drivers out there that are idiots. But most of the time, it's the car's fault. Why do you want to pass a truck on a slippery, icy road and he's moving slow? What's that telling you? Yeah, because he weighs a lot more than you. He's got better traction than you do. And if he's going slow, that means, it's spooky out. But what do you see cars do all the time? Woo! And all it takes is that car to make one little mistake. And that truck driver ain't paying attention. He will kill them people. And I don't want that on my shoulders. I would kill somebody. You know? And it happens. And a lot of guys, man, they feel really, really horrible about it. But who looks bad? Oh, that truck driver. But that ain't true. Okay? I've seen in my years of doing this, guys that'll put their truck in a fucking ditch and hurt themselves so they don't kill that family. And then their company's on their ass